Rangers Journal now.
Hello, welcome back to Rangers Journal podcast. I'm your host Scotty and I'm delighted to be joined by Jack, and today we're going to be speaking about his most recent article. Jack, how you doing? Do you want to tell us just a brief overlay about it?
Yeah, so glad to be back. So what we're talking about is sort of a first sort of quarter review of the new ownership in their first season. Well, it was meant to be a review, but we've kind of just touched on the sort of things that have changed. I feel it's a bit early to properly judge them, but we can look at what's changed, what they're planning, and kind of see where we're going from here. Because there was a lot of hype in the summer, and it's not went exactly as we all thought it would, but there's definitely been some big decisions made.
Aye, definitely. So first of all, welcome to all the listeners. Thank you for tuning in. This is a new thing we're trying out. I suppose the first question is, obviously the changes on and off the pitch. We've got a whole new board, a whole new kind of regime. On and off the park with management, new team. How have you found it? Do you think we're kind of moving forward, or do you think it's kind of going sideways, Jack?
No, we're definitely moving forward. It might not seem it, obviously, with the on the field results, but I think for the first time, really ever, we're a 21st century club because even when we were one of the top teams in Europe in the 90s, it was still, the one guy, David Murray, at the top, and then you had Walter Smith or Dick Advocat sort of running everything below him. And we've never really had this sort of head coach model went into it. Now, you can have your opinions on Martin, and I know most people aren't a fan. I've got
Yeah.
my doubts as well, but it is a different approach. We flirted with the idea, had Mark Allen, we had Ross Wilson, James Bisgrove doing sort of roles above the manager where it was meant to take some of the pressure off of them. But in reality, I mean, especially under Beale and Clement, they were still doing the majority of the transfer dealings, which it's weird, but in modern football, that's not something that really happens. Like the managers or the head coaches have a say, but there should be a plan in place for if things go wrong, they can leave and the players being recruited are still the same. And I don't think that happened under Wilson or under Allen, but we do seem to have that structure. We've got, Kevin Feller running the whole sort of club things, whereas Dan Purdy's managing the sort of men's recruitment side of things. It's a tiered list, which is very different, and I like it. Like I said, it's not fully functional yet. I think a lot of the boys we've brought in have been Martin signings, but I don't think moving forward the targets are going to necessarily come from the manager. I think we're going to have a style or a sort of style we're looking to play. Even if Martin goes tomorrow, we'll bring in a guy who's going to play a similar style, which is why I don't think Mourinho would ever be a possibility because he's different.
Aye.
I think they're committed to playing this style of football. They've got guys that are all committed to it, and whoever the head coach is, the targets we're after are going to be the same moving forward.
Aye, definitely. So we'll get into the boardroom shake-up that you touch upon in the article. Takeover was finalised in May, 51% stake secured. Kavanagh, Marathi, Tabor, Clayton, Schnur come in. Park, Walhart, Johnston and Dave King exit the club. What do you think this means for obviously a £20 million cash injection? What do you think this means for fan influence and long-term stability of the club?
So I touched on this in the article. I think the old board, particularly Park, were quite guilty of giving into fan pressure. I know Douglas Park and Graham Park as well. The Rangers fans, they always wanted what was best for the club, and no one can deny that. But I think there's a reason fans, for the majority, aren't in charge of football clubs. We're very emotional. We're very rash, off the back of a big deflating result. You see it on Twitter. I mean, how many times, even if we're winning 9 games, we lose one, it's like, get him out. So we're very bad at that. But I think that went through to the board. Not maybe under Clement. I think he overstayed his welcome, but definitely the Van Bronckhorst one is the main one. I think it was a very good Celtic team we was up against. He just got us to the Europa League final. We dropped something like, I think maybe 5, 6, 7 points or something, and we threw him out and we brought in Beale because he was in the fans' eye. He obviously showed up at the Loudon, showed up at games. He was putting himself out there, and I think that was a rash decision. And I don't think it's one this board would make. I think this board have shown already with Martin, despite the poor start, that they're going to stick with him. They think he's a man, and they're not going to be cowed by fan pressure. And we're obviously going to be frustrated by that, but that's what you see at top clubs, that they have a plan in place and they stick to it. One bad result doesn't kind of throw them, or a few bad results in our case, kind of throw them off that, and they're going to stick with it until it's kind of proven beyond all doubt it's the wrong decision. So it is different. The new guys come in, they've got experience obviously with the American football and at Leeds United. They know what they're doing with football. Not to say that the old guys didn't, but they're not fans, they're not emotionally invested. It's a purely business sort of motive they've got for coming into
Aye.
Rangers. And they're going to run it like a business. And that doesn't mean they're not going to spend money, but at the end of the day, their end goal is to put the club, a regular Champions League team, where we're going to get the money coming in. We're going to have a player trading model which sees us have a negative net spend. You know, we're going to bring in more than we're putting out, and then down the line at some point they'll probably sell the club for a massive profit, and that's their aim. They need us to be successful on the park to generate the money off the park, really. So while they're not fans, they do want the best for the club, and they're not going to asset strip us. But at the same time, they're going to be a bit removed from it. They're not going to be drowned out by the noise. They're going to have a plan in place and they're going to stick to it. And obviously, Dave King wasn't so bad about that, but Dave King is one of these guys. He wasn't on the board anymore. He had a falling out with the previous board. He was very single-minded, and it was his way or the highway a lot of the time. Whereas these guys are a sort of, they've got a structure, they've got a team, they're all joined up and thinking. And yeah, I can see things going very smoothly. I just hope that the decision to hire Russell Martin kind of works out in the coming weeks and months, and all that tension starts to die down.
Definitely. I just want to kind of move away from the article a wee bit and ask you something. What you thought of the transfer strategy from Kevin Thelwell and Dan Purdy? Obviously, Thelwell came out yesterday and done an interview with RTV and explained that it was more of a kind of stability window, you know, bringing people in that could hit the ground running, so to speak. And I think it's fair to say most of the signings haven't, apart from Gassama, so far. What's your take on the transfer strategy?
So the first couple of months of the window, I was like, right, fair enough. English market, they're just in the door. Fairwell said, obviously, because they started on the 1st of June, but let's be realistic here. These guys have been in the pipeline for a while. They should have had maybe a few more targets. I'm a bit disappointed in that. But I do understand that all this sort of scouting stuff hasn't been in place from the previous regimes just because it's been so managerial led. So it's going to take time to build up new scouting networks. And as much as I love Bomber Brown, having him as one of your main scouts in 2025 isn't really, it's not very modern. We need scouts in Asia and Africa and South America, and we'll build all that up, Eastern Europe. But for now, I can see what they're doing. They're kind of sticking to what they know, and it does make sense. Early window stuff, I mean, some of the loans, I'm not too sure on. Max Aarons especially, I thought Max Johnson was available. He's Scottish, he's young, he was available for a couple of million. I'm not too sure on that. Giga, I understand, while he's been poor in recent weeks, I can see the attributes are looking the same with Cornelius. Magoma is a weird one. I feel like that was a bit panicky, despite he has been all right since he came in. The midfield makes sense. Rothwell, there's something going on there. There's an injury to fitness we've touched on, but on paper, all the signings make sense. And up front, Miovski's an excellent signing for the price we've got him. I really like that bit of business. Chermiti, again, the same as Giga. I can see on paper the stats aren't great, but the attributes, the potential's there. It's a big risk, but Selwell knows the mentality of the boy. He'll know he's got what it takes to come up here and not be kind of going under with the fan pressure. He'll know what's expected of him, and hopefully he can get firing pretty quickly. There has been a lot of loans, which is concerning, but not unsurprising considering how early it is in the regime. I think next summer we'll move away from that when we've got a bit more money in the bank, a bit more stability. So it's a good starting platform. Everything's not done. I think there'll be more business in January this year than we've had in a while in the January windows, but I'm a bit not disappointed. I'm a bit uninspired by it, but at the same time, I can understand the reasons behind it and seeing what they're trying to do.
Moving on to the next part of the article, then, in terms of building a modern structure, obviously we'd appointed Fraser Thornton and Patrick Stewart after John Gilligan had left the club. That's why he was brought in to kind of put the bridges in place to oversee the takeover. Then Kevin Thelwell, Dan Purdy come in, and that gives us that kind of structure moving forward, moving away from the type of structure that Phil Clement was doing everything at the club as with Michael Beale at the time. Do you think this makes us a kind of proper modern football club now, having a structure like this in place?
Yeah, I said that earlier. This is the first time we've ever been a 21st century club. It was always for years. You had your chairman, maybe a director of football, but the majority of the work was done by the manager. Like Advocat, Walter, McLeish, even Ali,
Aye.
Warburton to an extent. They were all in charge of transfer business. And while they weren't the same as Walter in his first spell dealing with the youth academy and all that sort of stuff, they were still everything with the men's team they were involved in, which there's so much for a manager to do today compared to 20, 30 years ago. They need to be on the training part. They need to tactically the game's moved on so much. They need all their focus on the park.
Aye.
And that seems to be something we're doing, especially with the fact it was made very clear when Russell Martin came in, he is the head coach, he's not the manager. And that's something you see at a lot of top clubs. How often do you have a manager? I mean, I can think of Carlo Ancelotti when he was at Madrid was the manager, but 90% of other top teams, it's a head coach. I mean, Arteta's the head coach, Amarin's the head coach. I'm not sure what Pep's role is at Man City, but I imagine that's mostly a coaching role. He's dealing with the tactics of the men's team a lot, and they've got obviously guys above him. So it's good because it means we're not going to go back into a cycle when a manager's sacked. We're back into just square one. We're going to have plans in place. It's not going to destroy the groundwork at youth level, the sort of transfer strategy for the next window after the guy goes out the door,
Yeah.
which, I mean, I think it was very badly exposed under Michael Beale that was a guy who thought he would come in and be able to do it and then very quickly realised he wasn't. He signed players to play a system that he dropped after a week, and under this sort of structure that won't be allowed to happen. You'll be told, we brought you in to play this structure, this style. You can tweak it slightly, but we're signing players for it. You can't be doing that. And I think that's what we're going to see. We've seen it at the Celtic game. Martin's tweaked his system slightly, but the players we've got still fit into the system he put out.
Yeah.
It wasn't suddenly signing 4 wingers and then playing no wingers. So, yeah, it makes us a modern club. We're not reliant on the sort of one man and a manager, which is what modern teams should be doing. So there's not this sort of back to square one every time we lose a manager.
Aye, definitely. So Russell Martin's appointed over Steven Gerrard, Danny Rowe, Ancelotti Jr. Not the most popular. In fact, he's the least popular choice among fans. Let's be honest. 4 draws and was it a 9-1 defeat for Club Brugge over 2 legs. I think he learned something in the Old Firm game. I think he tweaked his system ever so slightly. Give me your thoughts on the appointment overall and what you touch upon in the article.
Yes, so personally, Martin wasn't my first choice, but I wasn't on this whole, oh, it's a disgraceful appointment sort of train. I could see the thoughts behind it, the style they want to play.
Aye.
His record isn't great. It's not
Right.
bad, but it's not great. It's not the sort of level you'd want to be looking at. But I could see why they went for him. He plays what's described modernly as good football. I mean, I see no problem with Sean Dyche, Big Sam, just get the ball in the net, however it goes in, but be sound at the back. But I understand that's the way they want to play, and that's why they've appointed Martin. I was disappointed. I actually thought we started okay. I thought Panathinaikos were wobbly at the back, but you could see style of play. Pills in first leg, I was like, right, it's clicked. Even after the Motherwell draw, I'm like, right, here we go. And then the games since then, the 2 Bruges games, St Mirren and Dundee, even Alloa to an extent, were awful. Things just weren't clicking. And I think after Bruges, it finally clicked with Martin. That if he kept going this way, he'd be out in his arse. And I don't know if he get told that from above, but he changed things. He got rid of we were playing a ridiculously high line, one that even the likes of City and Arsenal probably wouldn't get away with, Liverpool wouldn't get away with. He's dropped the defenders deeper, and you've seen how much more solid we were. He stopped the reliance on short
Yeah.
passing. We still did a lot of short passing, but we weren't scared to just get rid of the ball when danger was there. Giga done it a few times, much to Button's annoyance, but it stops that issue with the keeper coming out and the defender. So we look more solid. We were getting a few more longer balls up, which helped us to breathe a bit. Miovski will help with that. As much as I loved
What's this?
Cyril. Oh, hang on a minute. 2 wee seconds. It's saying my network's lost now. I'll try going on to my. So we've seen Mimiovski coming in. He's a different striker. Cyril Dessers, as much as I loved him at times, he was frustrating. Some of his first touches would be brilliant. Some of them would bounce off him. So we've got a guy who can hold the ball up, someone we can go long to when we need to, and we're not going to give away possession. So he seemed to learn for the Celtic game, and while we weren't much of a threat going forward, we were a lot more stable at the back. And I think if we can get forward a bit more, we'll be in a better position. But it all comes down to this next run of games. You know, you've got Hearts and Hibs, who are two of the best teams outside Celtic we're going to play, and you've got Livingston, who have always been a tough team for us to beat. So it's really a short window he's got. I think if he can get a run of maybe 3, 4, 5 wins, it'll calm the pressure and give him a bit of room to breathe going into the sort of second phase of the season.
Aye, definitely. And Sir Alex Ferguson's been back at the club. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think
Yeah,
that's a smart move by 49ers?
Yeah, so I know he's been on the outs for Man United since obviously their own new regime came in. So I think it's a gap. He's obviously looking for something to be involved in. He's always been involved in football. It's a very smart move to have him invited to games. I mean, he's going to be a great person to talk to for Martin, even for guys above him. I mean, he was the epitome of that old manager style where he was in charge of everything at Man United for what
Yeah.
30 years. He's a great just guy for advice, and it's not an official role, but having him there, being able to go, sorry, Alex, could I ask your opinion on something? How would you do this? I mean, it's invaluable, and I think that's something Man United have. They did it too much at first, and then they've not done it enough. If you can get
Yeah.
that sweet point where you get his advice, but you don't follow it just for the sake of following it. If you get the advice, go, yep, we'll take that on board and do it the right way. And just having a guy of that stature about the club, it'll drive everyone on. I mean, if you're a player and you know a guy of that stature is watching you on a regular basis, it has to boost you on, even if it's only an extra 5%.
Definitely, definitely. What was your thoughts on Igaman and Raskin situations? About the man management at all?
Yeah, I think that's been an issue with Martin throughout his career. His man management at times can be a bit flaky. Players either love him or can't stand him, and it's about getting rid of the ones that can and keeping the ones that buy in. Egan Man should have been dealt with months ago. It was clear he wanted out for the end of last season. The visa issues and the fitness issues throughout pre-season, and then he was dropped out the team injured, and then he's suddenly back in but hardly getting off the bench. And there was always these rumours about how his attitude had changed around the training ground and with supporters he was meeting. I think it's one of these ones. A young boy has had his head filled by an agent, and we should have let him go long before we did. We should have had things lined up before the start of the season to get this sorted, because we left ourselves now having to get the two new boys up to speed after we've already drawn our first 4 games. But yeah, his head wasn't there. You could see it, and we recouped a decent fee for him. Not as much as we were hoping for, but still a decent amount of money. Um, so should be all right moving forward. In terms of yeah, Eager Man should have been sorted months ago. There was issues with fitness, visas. There was rumours about him, his attitude changing with fans, attitude changing with supporters when he was meeting them. I think it should have been dealt with months ago. Clearly, his head was gone. It's an aging and in a young guy's head telling him, oh, you can do this, you can do that. I think the best thing for his career would have been another year here, but he's wanted away, and I think we should have dealt with him long before. Because now we've got two new boys in after 3, 4 games where we've been poor to start, whereas we could have had these boys in earlier and maybe they would have made a difference. Raskin, I'm happy that he seems to want to stay. Um, Billy Dodds talked about this, and I know Billy Dodds is a bit of a controversial person, but he spoke that Raskin's one of these guys that questions everything. And I think maybe Martin's not understood that and taken it the wrong way. But the fact that they seem keen to sit down and talk shows a lack of ego from the two of them,
Yep.
which is a good thing moving forward. And I hope it gets sorted out. But in terms of asking, if it gets sorted out, they need to sort the contract situation out, because we can't afford
Aye.
another asset to go. And I don't think this new board will allow another asset to go in the cheap.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I'm going to skip on a bit of the youth, the women's team, the training
Yeah.
centre. How much attention do you think's going to get put into all that?
Yeah, so I think they'll look to improve all aspects. I think you can see the women's team's kind of taking a back seat under the new regime. They've lost a lot of key players. They brought in a new head coach who's kind of untested, Leanne Crichton. Um, and yeah, they even seen today Kirsty Howard left today, which is a surprise. But I think they will build that up. But I think they're focusing on the men's team. But there's a lot of stuff went into sponsorships, and we've got a lot of new stuff behind the scenes. There's already been new work done in the training ground to bring it
Yeah,
back up to elite standard, which is needed. You need the players to have the best environment. You need them to have the sort of best facilities to go with. I would like to see us expand our coaching team. We've for too long we've went along with the same 4 or 5 sort of roles. I think you need guys doing set pieces, guys doing defending. You need
yeah,
a lot of guys in there just managing everything if you want to get the best out of players at the top level. And I think that is something we'll look at moving forward. But it's good to see them. There's already been work done around the Ibrox, work done around the training ground. They're not just putting on a face going, oh, look at this new striker, but they're doing the work behind the scenes, which is exactly what I want to see.
definitely, mate. Definitely. What about comparing this to Celtic? I don't really like speaking about them on the pod, but you mentioned them in the article in terms of comparing everything to Celtic struggles. I mean, I would say as a club we're in a far better position than Celtic right now. Just my personal opinion in terms of the money we've spent, where we've went and shopped, the board showed a wee bit of ambition. Player trading models kicked in a wee bit. How are you feeling compared to across the city just now?
Yeah, if we'd got even 2 wins at the first 4, I'd be absolutely
Aye,
delighted because I think on paper I think individually they'll still probably have 1 or 2 players better than what we've got, but I think on paper, if starting 11, I think we look stronger. I think up front they look an absolute mess. Maeda is very hit or miss. He's like their version of Dessers, but through the middle they're very very weak. I think McGregor's aging, Forrest is aging. You've got Kieran Tierney does not look the same player he was before, which is a real happy point for me because I was quite worried he'd come in and be the player he was at Arsenal, but he looks a shadow of that
yeah,
player. Um,
100%. Aye.
so their business fills me with a bit of happiness, and their board are a bit of a mess. I mean, they've got far more money than we do in the bank, which is the one thing
Yeah,
we've got going for them. If we get to January, even if we are 3 points ahead, they could go out and spend that money if they really wanted to. But I think they're happy to just keep slightly ahead of us, which could play to our advantage because if we suddenly perk into life and overtake them, then they're playing the chasing game. Whereas
aye,
if they keep way ahead, if they pushed on, kept their foot on our throat, then we'd be in trouble. But they've not done it, and their fans see that, and their fans are raging about it, which is hilarious. The fact that they've won however many trophies in the last 10 years, and they're putting up shoot the board banners, it's a bit mental. But that pressure is going to be in our favour. That pressure will translate from the crowd into the players,
yeah.
and it'll make that place nervy. But that only happens if we are putting pressure on them in the league table. If we are 10 points behind them, they'll coast through, get an 0-0 and be like, oh, we're still 10 points ahead. If they're going into games needing to win, the pressure's going to come from the crowd even more. And that's just going to do us favours if they're on their back.
100%, mate. 100%. Um, so, on to the last kind of part of the article. New board have backed Martin publicly a few times now. And comparing that to the previous regime with Michael Beale and Philippe Clement, I think they've come out and acted a wee bit quicker
Yeah.
considering the start. I was surprised to see Thelwell do an interview, if I'm honest. Do you think this is a kind of long term loyalty, or do you think it's a bit of a gamble by the board to come out this early?
A bit of both. I think they're showing they're going to stick to their plan. Fairwell's backed him, Kavanagh's backed him, and Kavanagh said, you won't hear from the likes of me and Kevin Fairwell unless things are going badly. And things have
Yeah,
gone badly, but they're showing that they're willing to stick with them and back it. If things keep going the way they're going, I don't think they'll be delaying like they did with Clermont last year, where they gave him a stay of execution. I think if it keeps going this way, he will be gone. But I think they've spoke with him that they're going to change things, they're going to adjust, and they're going to try and see if that works. If that doesn't work, I don't think he'll be carrying on here past the point of no return. I think if he gets to 9-10 points, he'll be gone. But I think they're giving him a chance to make adjustments and turn it around. I think they probably will already be working the background for a contingency plan. I think we'll be looking at guys, talking to guys, but I think they'll be hoping and thinking Martin's still the right guy. He obviously interviewed really well. They obviously believe in what he's told them, and I think they'll stick with it until it gets to the point where it's clear they can't. But I don't think they'll let it get to a point past that, which we did, especially with Clermont.
Definitely. So, do you think the new regime's going to deliver some consistency on the managerial front and kind of how we're perceived as a club? Do you think we finally got Rangers standards back?
Yeah, I don't think we'll get a glamorous head coach, but I think we'll get a plan in place that no matter who the boss is, they'll be similar and they'll have the right attributes. I don't think we're going to go. I mean, if you look at Gerrard to Van Bronckhorst, they were very different. Gerrard was very attack minded, whereas Van Bronckhorst was very defensive. Then you go back to Michael Beale, who was Gerrard's assistant. Then you go to Clermont, who's a different style of manager. It's not been very joined up.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I think if we lose Martin and we've got the squad we've got, we'll get someone in who plays a similar style, who can maybe get more out of that squad without needing to completely overhaul it again. We'll get guys in that can bring players up rather than guys that are going to need to change the playing squad. So it'll bring us a lot more stability on the park in that terms. We're not going to be getting windows like this one where we're signing 14, 15 players again. It'll be 3 or 4 adjustments every window and get selling big, bringing in low. But we'll move up in tiers. We sold Agaman for 10 and spent 8 on Chermiti rather than selling Agaman and bringing somebody in for the same price we signed him. So if we sell Chermiti at the same sort of percentage value, say he goes for 20-25, then you can bring in a guy at 15, sell him for 30, bring someone in. It's going to keep moving up as long as we stay successful. And I think we will be more successful. I don't think we're going to be ever at a stage again winning 10 titles in a row.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to get back to a stage where it's kind of to and fro with Celtic. They'll have their down periods, and I can see one coming up for them with the current state they're in. And if we take advantage of that, we could get a few years back on top, re-establish ourselves as Scotland's top club, win a few more titles, pull back ahead of them, and then eventually they'll catch up, they'll win something, we'll readjust, and it'll be back to the way it used to be. And you've got the likes of Hearts and Hibs and Aberdeen spending a bit more money. I don't see Hibs or Aberdeen testing us, but they'll be better than they have been. Hearts are quite ambitious, but I think even they're still going to be at least 5 years off even touching the surface. But I think Scottish football as a whole is improving. I mean, if you look at the league this year, there's not many games there you go, but that's a definite win. The one would have probably been Dundee, and that did prove to be a win. So I think the league as a whole is getting better, which is going to be good for Rangers, going to be good for Scottish football. As long as we keep improving ourselves, stay at the top of that, I think we're going to see a period of success, but not dominance, if that makes sense. We'll get back to a place where we're winning maybe 2-3 league titles in a row, 3 out of 5, and winning cups in the regular, which realistically we all want to be winning 10 in a row. We all want to be winning treble every year, but it's better than where we've been, and it's where we should be.
I think that we definitely need to get back to winning and competing on a front, and I would like to see the odd treble here and there because it's been 2003, 22 years, far too long for a club like that to go without a treble. I'm not saying Alex McLeish needs erased for everybody's memory, but it should have been doing the list a wee bit by now. Jack, I think Rangers are on good hands, and I think we're moving in the right direction. I just think it's going to take a wee bit of time. Have you got any closing thoughts?
Just that people need to understand. I'm probably not going to be get the best reaction to this, but these guys aren't going to listen to fans, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. We're emotional after a defeat. I wanted Martin going after Bruges. I'm still have my doubts on him, but if they listen to fans, they'll be sacking the manager every time we drop points.
100%.
They're going to be very businesslike, very pragmatic, and very detached. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. They'll be able to take a step back, look at things, and I think do what's best for the club from a neutral standpoint and give us the best chance of success moving forward.
Definitely, and I believe you write some more articles over Well, our website, don't you? Do you want to get a wee plug?
Yeah, so we restarted the Inside Ibrox page during the summer. It's been kind of dormant for a year or so. It's just kind of basically there's 4 years there. There's me. There's a few guys, David Marshall, Brian Watson, and Stephen Wilson. We all write a bit. It's I cover most of the sort of newsy stuff. These guys write sort of opinion pieces, historical pieces. We kind of cover everything there. We're trying to just get as much stuff out as we can about Rangers. Basically, if you like reading about Rangers, we'll have whatever you're looking for. We're always looking for new guys to come on. Basically, if you want to write about Rangers, give me a message, and we'll be able to get you sorted out. But right there, do a bit here for the journal. Now the transfer window's shut, I'll be able to dedicate a bit more time to the journal. It won't be as hectic over there. But yep, if you like reading about Rangers and you're done reading all the articles here in the journal, head over to Inside Ibrox and we'll have whatever you're looking for.
What's the website address?
So it's insideibrox.com.
InsideIbrox.com. Head on over there for more Rangers content, folks. And Jack, thank you for joining me.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me.
And this is just a wee extra idea we're trying out. Get in the comments below. Let us know what you think of Jack's article. Let us know what you think of the podcast. And we'll see you again soon. Cheers.